Bienvenue mon channel. Welcome to my channel. So I'm not going to do this video in French. I am one, not good enough to do that, but two, I don't want to subtitle it, so we're not going to do it. So I wanted to talk today about how I've learnt French. I love linguistics. I find language fascinating. I think learning even the sentence structure and how cultures word things is fascinating. So in French, you'll know, well, you might not know, in French they're very like casual and yes, more shit, you know, it's very like laissez-faire. Whereas if you combine that with like Japanese, like if trying to say hello in Japanese would be konnichiwa, hajimashite, ibeto desu, is hello, please look favourably upon me, my name is Yvette. So you learn that how much more honour and prestige and formality is in a language, and I think that adds another layer to their culture. In conclusion, I'm a linguistics nerd. I find languages fascinating. But the only language I've learnt to any sort of level properly is French. So I was going to run you through how I've managed to learn French and the biggest mistakes and learning curves I've had so that you don't have to make them too. So to start off, I learnt French in high school. So I learnt when I was in my first year at school, so when I was 5 years old. I learnt right up until I was 14. When I was 14, I was in a pretty bad year at school, and my class made the teacher quit basically, so that when they got a new French teacher they didn't make us learn French, so I didn't learn after that point, which is such a shame because I love it. So I do have a lot of the basics of French from that, so you know, hello, how are you, my name is, you know, bonjour, comment ça va, je m'appelle Yvette, the colours, animals, and the counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all that kind of stuff, getting the accent and that correct. But other than the basics, I'm not very good at grammar. That's been my downfall. So the past year or so I've been taking it on myself to educate myself and learn and kind of build on the foundation that school had laid out for me. The ways I've done that is, firstly, I use Duolingo. I know Eden Evinger, he did a whole series, which I'll put down below, he did a whole series on how he learnt German using Duolingo, which is amazing, and so that kind of inspired me to use it for French. And that worked well. I'm very literate at French. I can read French very well now because of Duolingo. I'm not very good at speaking French. I can't form sentences. I can read the sentences, but I can't form them, and I know I can't pronounce things correctly. So with Duolingo, obviously pronunciation's not there, and so when you're looking, even though it shares the same alphabet as English and French, the sounds are different. R is ich kind of thing. I suck at doing the French R. So stuff like that. So when I'm trying to read it, I'm reading it with an English sound in my head, so I know what that says. But so what that means is I can't hear it. If I could read a sentence, I can read it. If I watch a video or a TV show and they say that same sentence, I don't understand what they're saying. So I've got a discrepancy between what I can hear and what I can read now, because I only did Duolingo. So this is what I'm trying to tell you not to do, is don't rely on the apps. I know it seems convenient and cheap and fun, and it is, and it's a good tool, but it can't be your only tool, because that's what my problem was. However, I have taken steps to rectify this. So I self-analysed my problem, and so one thing I've been doing to fix this is that I go onto Netflix, and you can change your languages, and I put on TV shows in French, and I can put French subtitles on to help bridge that gap between my hearing and that. However, if you're not that level, completely understandable, you may not have screwed yourself as badly as I did, so you can just even put the English subtitle on and let them listen. And the other way I do it is I put on Harry Potter, of all things, because I'm a massive Harry Potter nerd, as you know, so I don't need the subtitles with Harry Potter. I know it line for line. I know what's happening. I know the exact translation. So I can play Harry Potter in French and still understand what's happening and pick up bits and pieces without needing to read it, which is really helpful as well. Another great tool that I found just for learning in general, any language, but I've done it with French best, is type in to Google Translate house tour or whatever, bedroom tour. In French, I'll be like chambre tour is chamber tour, which is in my head, the English is wrong. And I'll search that on YouTube, and I'll get all these French YouTubers doing room tours or vloggers in French, which is so good because essentially all a tour or a vlogger does is narrate. They'll be like, this is my photo, this is my plant, this is my book. And so in French you can learn like this is, and you learn the nouns for things, and most of the time it's pretty easy. They're just pointing and saying what things are, and so it's really good to learn and be more exposed to the French or the language that you're looking at. I highly recommend just exposing yourself to the language as much as you can. Helps picking it up as much as you can. Try and do a little bit every day, even if it's just a French YouTuber every day, a Duolingo every lesson every now and then. Just doing as much as you can. I also recommend a French grammar book, which I have as well, which has taught me like sentence structure. So with the French, they're pretty straightforward. It's like they don't have a million names for things. Like mange is like eating, to have eaten, I am eating. Like it's all the same word, so it's a lot easier. And so when you use the grammar textbook, it helps you learn how to form sentences. But the number one tip I have, and it's like not the cheapest but totally worth it, is getting a tutor. So this works for any language that has an audio component that's different from its written, i.e. French. I think any Romance language, so you're looking at French, Italian, Spanish, anything like that, because they use the same alphabet, so you need to learn the new alphabet. I have done that. I have gone on to italki. So I have a referral link for italki and Duolingo down there, can save you a bit of money. By getting a tutor, I found someone who was born in France but has New Zealand and Australian parents, so that she would understand where I came from. They all have ratings, they have different prices, from $4 an hour to $50 an hour, depending on the level you need or the type of tutor you want. There's you have like a trial half hour, and then you talk with the person. You learn where you are, and because they're an educated teacher, they can pinpoint exactly your problems, which is what I found, was that I hadn't learnt the alphabet because I was only a child, and because of that it was setting me on the wrong path, and that's why I could not hear. But I could read, but I couldn't hear. So I've had to go back to basics to fill in the blanks that I missed because I was self-teaching and moving so far ahead of where my brain was at. Does that make sense? So I definitely think even, you don't have to do a tutor weekly, just every now and then to check in that you're on the right path so you don't deviate too far and just go off on a tangent like I did. So on italki there is like college professors or just community professors who just, and so one's more formal, one's more informal, and they give you homework. I honestly think it's made such a difference in my progress. I want to learn so many more languages, but I thought I'm just going to focus on French, fill in the gaps, try and master it, and because once you learn one language you seem to be able to pick them up a lot faster because you've learned how to learn basically. Find the language you're most passionate about, that's the main thing. By all means use your Duolingo, your Babbel, whatever works for you, but then do check in with a professional teacher so that you're not hurting yourself more than helping yourself. Another thing I like to do is on Spotify you can go to the charts and you can find the country. So if I go to France, I can go to the French chart and see the top 10 or top whatever top French songs. So you can like listen to it as well while you're at the gym, just increasing your exposure. There's so many values to learning a language. Over 50% of the world's population is bilingual or multilingual. So I feel kind of ignorant to just be like, oh, everyone should speak English. And English is such a hard language. I'm so happy I've learnt that first and not had to do it as a second language, because I don't know how you'd learn that. It's ridiculous. I'm still very much in the learning part of learning French. I'm like average, I can get by, but I do have to fill in the blanks because I've made some mistakes, as I've just told you. I'm more than happy to accept any advice from you guys. If you guys are multilingual, how did you learn? What tips can you give someone who's just trying to better themselves? Let me know in the comments down below. I really do need help, all the help I can get. So remember to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you want to try any of the things I've mentioned, all the links are down below, and any discount codes or referral things I have to help you out, I'll put them down there too. The dog is being very clingy today, she won't leave me alone. Remember to hit subscribe so I can see you tomorrow for my next installment of my Vlogmas series that I'm doing here. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, you just don't want me to film.